G'day, this is Marty Ware here, youtube.com/Marty's Garden and www.pottedvegetablegarden.com. How you going today? Listen, I'm here to talk with you about worm farming yet again. The reason is because a lot of people have problems with their worm farms about them getting too wet and also attracting flies and just really not performing as well. So they're throwing in lime and all different types of things. But generally what it comes down to is a few common small problems that can be easily sorted out once you know how. So I'm going to tell you in this video. I'll see you in there. So how do you keep your worm farm from getting too wet and smelly and attracting flies and becoming really horrible and a nasty looking thing when you open the lid go, ooh? Well, I've got some answers for you, hopefully it's going to help. First thing you need to do is think about how the air and oxygen is getting through the material where the worms are living. You need to keep it as light and fluffy as possible so the water, when you pour it in, flows through, down through the tap and into the bucket and gives you that lovely worm wee every few days, or the worm tea, or liquid manure, basically whatever people like to call it, but it's great stuff. So firstly, I want to tell you to stop using organic materials that get too soggy, such as overdoing it with newspaper and cardboard. Don't put in more food than they can eat. Break it up into small pieces for quicker consumption, as large pieces get soggy and smelly. Use old cow and horse manure as a top layer, as they love to eat this, and it produces a nice new little microbe that's going to go through into your worm tea and into your castings that your plants are going to love. And also avoid any meats and dairies, as these little guys are vegetarians and the meats and the dairy will attract flies. So think oxygen, think organic materials that the worms are going to eat, that more come out of nature, and avoid using too much of that soggy material. As you can see, I've just got this little worm farm here. It's just one of those home kits that you can buy. It's a tumbleweed kit. And I've got my worm mat on top and a bucket that collects the drippage down below, or any of the worm wee or worm tea that comes through. Now, if we go underneath, you can't see a lot of the worms at the moment because I've just fed it with a whole lot of scraps, and they're all underneath all this new fresh stuff. So basically what I'm doing is every couple of days I feed them from my juicer, and they love it in the mornings. They're all coming up and just eating. They consume that in a couple of days. Yes, my budgie, he's just going nuts. Yes, Snowflake, we can hear you. Got two in there. And anyway, this mat is really good because the water flows straight through it. And last video I was talking about collecting the liquid manure that comes through, the liquid tea that comes through into the bucket down below. And the reason why I like it so much is because when you got newspaper on top, it all runs off to the sides and it doesn't run through evenly. But with the mat, you can just pour it over the top, and the water just goes through. So I'm going to actually go and get some water, and I'm going to show you how the system works and doesn't get clogged up and too wet. So I've aerated this water here in the big drum to remove the chlorine. I had it sitting for a day, but I just wanted to take extra precaution. Usually a day is enough to remove the chlorine, but I just bubbled it up for a couple of hours anyway, and I'm pretty sure there will be no chlorine in there whatsoever. And I'm finding that if I'm oxygenating the water that goes into my plants, I'm getting even better success. Because when the rain falls from the sky, it's highly oxygenated. So yeah, if you can do anything to make it better, then why not? So let's go out and water the worm farm.
So I'm pouring this water in now, and it's just flowing through. Now what I've got in this Wormfarm is something that Tumbleweed recommend, and I've used what they call cocoa peat. So it's just a coconut fibre. It's a big block that you buy, you make up and wet it down in the bucket. You put it in the lower case of your Wormfarm. Now a lot of people will use just newspaper and shredded stuff, and that gets too wet and it's not free draining. So I've actually, there's a couple of inches of peat in here, cocoa peat, and it just runs through. And then I've got about an inch of cow manure at the top, which you can buy from your local nursery now these days in bags. I collect it from the farm nearby. The reason I have that is because the worms will eat it, and it will give a better microbial nutrient, and also better nutrient if you're just not going to use it as a worm tea or worm wee, and brew it into an actual tea. And then I just place my food on top like I've shown you before, and the worms come through and consume that, and when it's nearly finished I go and put some more on there. So it's all about what you put in the bottom of your Wormfarm that help it free flow through. If it's going to stay soggy and moist, it's not going to free flow through, and you're not going to be able to collect this tea every day, or every few days, because the Wormfarm's going to get too clogged and smelly. You can run this through a couple of times if you like, just to get a stronger mix. And remember, this is good enough to use as a liquid fertiliser. All you can do is, or I do every now and again, turn it into compost tea by feeding it with the molasses and oxygenating it for a few hours and building up the microbial activity in there. So remember what to consider before you put into your Wormfarm, or when you're changing your Wormfarm over. Consider about what your base is going to be. So what I've been told is coconut is very good, the coconut peat, or peat moss, or even using mushroom compost. Now I haven't used mushroom compost, but I heard from Gardening Australia that it's possibly the way to go. So I'm going to be trying some mushroom compost in my new Wormfarm when I move these across, because I believe I've got over 1,500 worms in here now, and it's creating this great free liquid fertiliser for me. So it's just fantastic. I'm saving lots of money that way. I'm getting rid of my kitchen scraps, and they're just, it's nature's recyclers. So consider getting yourself a Wormfarm if you haven't got one already. They don't smell if it's done properly. Just avoid putting too much food in and too much soggy stuff that's going to clog it up. Make sure it's free draining, and you're going to have a lovely Wormfarm from days to come. Alright, I'll see you at the next video, and have a great day. Oh yeah, don't forget to subscribe up above, click the like button down below, and leave a question if you've got anything to add, or a question that you'd like to ask, and I'll get back to you. Have a great day and happy gardening. Bye.
Thanks so much for watching my videos and becoming a part of the Marty's Garden series. I really hope you're enjoying all the videos that I've been bringing out to you and learning plenty along the way, and watching as Karen and I develop into, well, what we like to call happy gardeners. But I do have something else for you. Now before you subscribe to this so you can watch more videos and click the like button down below so your buddies and that can see it too, you may want to go off to the Potted Vegetable Garden. Yes, www.pottedvegetablegarden.com. It's my website where I teach you how to grow food at home. Look, there are over 200 pages indexed in here now, and you will need to really search around to find what you're looking for. We've got everything from growing fruit trees, tomatoes, sprouts, worm farming, mini greenhouses, companion planting, growing chilies, and we even teach you how to repel fruit flies and grow sprouts at home, and healthy recipes for kids, and we're adding to this all the time. So come and see us at www.pottedvegetablegarden.com, and we'll see you in there. Happy gardening. Bye.